Hey Sebastian,
Hey, how's it going?
pretty good, thank you. Thank you for being here. Oh, we are at the same place, we had the location at the moment at the village, but thank you being here in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Just telling us a bit more about you, who you are, what are you doing with Uncommon Success? Are you a player? Are you someone from the staff? What are you exactly doing here?
Yeah, so I actually started as a player, and then as things developed and as I started developing together with Uncom, I then managed to move over onto the staff team. My background is in software development, so when I first joined, I saw a need for that, and I kept on sort of poking and sort of saying like, hey, have you thought about changing this? Have you thought about this? Have you, kind of just nagging really. And then it got to the point where an opportunity opened up for me to intern and see if I could actually be of service and help out. Mm-hmm. And after a while, we ended up on an agreement. And there was a long transition between joining, which was last September.
As a player?
Yeah. So mid last September as a player, and then the transition between then and the new year for me was already a massive transition in just learning more about myself and really readjusting where my focus was. I was at a point where I was very lost and not sure where I was going with things, and really kind of felt that, I had that sensation of just like, is this it? Like I had a dead end job that was crap. I hated it.
What were you doing?
I was just working as a software engineer. There's a term that's like a code monkey. Mm-hmm. In software development, so it's kind of just like you're just doing monkey work, but for coding. Yeah. So no fulfillment there whatsoever. I felt like my job could be automated, but I was there just doing it. Mm. And it just felt like, dead end job. I'm not sure what I'm doing with myself. Is like, is this it? Is this what I've reached? Is this like, do I now just wait 30 years until I retire? Mm-hmm. So it was a pretty helpless position really, and suddenly joining a community of people and starting to have conversations with people and really realize like, oh, actually there's something that I can offer. Really kind of changed the game for me, and that's when things started coming up. And now, I'm in Montenegro. I'm in one of the villages. I'm connecting with you guys, and like the energy that I feel in the morning, and like the sense of like the future that's coming for me. Like I don't know what it is, but I'm really excited about what it could be and what it can be.
Same.
As opposed to this feeling of just like, oh, it's doom and gloom and lost.
Yeah. And just we haven't talked about yourself, like your background, where you're from, what you were doing before Uncom. You told us about your job, but like sportly, or what were you doing before?
Yeah, so I live in Chile. I'm part Chilean, part from the UK. Mm-hmm. So a bit of a mixed background there. And I traveled a bunch when I was younger, so I've lived in a bunch of different countries. And during my 20s, I traveled all over the world. I was doing odd jobs here and there and everywhere. And when I wasn't working, I was traveling. So I really had a life of a lot of freedom that was already very uncommon in relation to other people. Yeah. I would visit friends or family, and they would just kind of ask me like, how are you doing what you're doing? And they just couldn't get their head around like my style of life at that time. Then COVID hit, and that for me was just, a real knock.
How? Like?
Yeah, I mean, like going from like back then I had no responsibilities. I was just looking after myself, and as long as I had the job that would line me up to be able to travel a little bit to find the next job, I could go anywhere in the world at any point. I would say to my friends, like, if you're going to get married, just give me 6 months of notice and I'll be there. No matter where it is in the world, like I'll make time to be there. Like I could do that even if I was across the globe. Whereas like, most people is kind of like, oh, I don't know, I only have 2 weeks holiday, I don't know, I have the money, and I don't know if I want to spend my 2 weeks holiday going over to see you for your wedding. But I was in a position where I could do that, and I wasn't very financially, I didn't have that much money, but I had a system that was working for me. And then, when COVID hit, everything just completely got flipped on its head. I couldn't work in the ways that I had been working. I couldn't travel in the ways that I'd been traveling. Suddenly I can't even leave my house. So that was a real knock for me, and sort of took me definitely a couple of years to get back on track. But now it really feels like I'm back on track, and sort of it feels like I've leveled up as well. Like before I had that freedom, and now I have that freedom again.
Yeah.
But now there's something different. There's that business element. Like before I wasn't thinking about money in the same way. I was just thinking like, oh, I'll just get the job to take me to the next place. But it wasn't a system that was sustainable. Now I'm thinking like, the vision has grown. So now it's like, oh, how can I set up my own business? How can I work with other people? How can I give value out to the community? And how can that grow? I'm here at one of the villages. I want to visit some of the other villages. I have ideas of my own village in the future.
In Chile?
Yeah, I think so. But then again, like there's so many things that I feel that can come up between now and the next couple of years even, that I don't know where I'm going to be, and it's an exciting position to be in, because just taking those steps each day.
Can you explain to us like what you do for Uncommon Success? Like what is your role on the staff team?
Yeah, so I work directly on the development team. We're quite a small team as a whole anyway.
How many?
So, probably somewhere between like 5 and 10, depending on the roles that you consider, and not everybody's full time. Mm-hmm. But because we're such a, it has kind of like a startup vibe to it in a way. So there's a lot of things to do, and there's not that many of us. So it's not just like, oh, you have this one job and just focus on that, and then everybody else would take care of the other things.
Yeah.
There's no department of this or a department of that. But that's a really exciting thing to be a part of. It's exciting to. It can be a little hectic at times, but it's really exciting to just be like, oh, I have to do a bit of this, I have to do a bit of that. It keeps it fresh, and it also feels like there's a team of us that is actually building something that's making a difference, mm-hmm. as opposed to being in this massive company that I was before, where sure, like you're building a product that is going to affect someone, but you have no contact with the end user, or you just fulfill a job and then it just disappears somewhere else, and you may never see the product or whatever. Here I've got a lot of value out of having calls with people even before I was part of the staff, so that's something that I try and keep up, and really be connected with the community. And it's really empowering to sort of build something and affect something, and then be having a conversation with someone and them saying, oh, I really like this feature, how it changed like this, or they might give you an idea, and then you're like, oh, okay, and I'll start building that in, and then next time we have a chat, they're like, oh, I saw this feature, and so it's really a back and forth with the community as well, which is really great.
And like, do you see yourself doing like a project apart Uncom, like your own thing with Uncom, but not for Uncom? Are you already working on something?
Yeah, so at the moment, it was something that when I first joined Uncom, I was in a different position, and I definitely felt at the time that everybody joining Uncom was a coach, and I wasn't a coach. So it felt very much like, should I just drop everything and become a coach? And my training has definitely advanced a lot since then. It's not particularly a focus that I want to take. Like, I don't particularly feel like becoming a coach, although I feel like having the skills of being able to help others in their athletic journey is valuable. But for me, I think having that background in software development and being so many people within the community that don't have that tech knowledge, right now what I'm focusing on is how can I sort of bridge the gap in between those two things and make it easier for people to bring out their own personal apps. So right now I'm building out a course that is going to help people go from zero to having an app with their own content on it. It'll be a basic version of what we have in the Uncom app. But I think a lot of people look up to that app and say, wow, I'd really love to have that as my own thing. So
I think that will help a lot of people.
Gradually, we're starting small right now. I just want to get people involved and having fun and not feeling overwhelmed by this idea of technology. I think some people sometimes, it can be new and overwhelming, especially if you don't have that much experience within technology.
Yeah. It is pretty hard when you don't.
Yeah. So the idea right now is just to get people enjoying it and having fun and realizing that, oh, actually I can build something. And then once that bug bites them and they get a bit more addicted to that and like realize like, oh, actually I can build something out of this, then, you know, we can take it further from there. And I think quite a few things can come out of that project. So it's exciting to see where it could go.
It is exciting. Can't wait to see.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for your time, to explain to us like what's your goal, what you're doing for Uncom as well. Thank you for that.
All right.
And can't wait to see how things will be.
Yeah.
A few
I'm
years.
excited for us to meet again and where we're going to be next time.
Yeah, sure.
All right, man. Thanks.
Thanks a lot.